Is anarchism Eurocentric? That's an interesting question, because I think to a large extent it is. Now, anarchism, you have to take into account that it was actively, or effectively, better say, it was effectively born in Europe. So, being born in Europe, it's only natural that it has a number of biases that are unavoidable. I mean, as a man, I do have my own biases as well. Do you know what I mean? And everyone has their own biases, and you have to be aware of them to work about them. Still, anarchism was far less, you could say that not about anarchism, you could say it about socialism. Socialism in general was Eurocentric. And when it came to Eurocentrism, anarchism, let me tell you, wasn't the worst of the currents. I mean, Karl Marx and Engels were openly taking side for the United States in the war against Mexico, because Mexicans were lazy and so on and so forth, and the United States was going to bring the wonders of capitalist civilization to California. Okay, they clapped as well and cheered for the British takeover of India, and so on and so forth for communism, for the, let's say, Marxist tendency in communism. Colonialism wasn't an issue until the 20s, and even in the 20s we had a lot of problems. Remember, Ho Chi Minh back in 1919 had a lot of problems with the Communist International, because it wouldn't take the issue of the struggle against colonialism seriously. For a lot of them, for the majority of the movement, still colonialism was a progressive force, whereas in the case of anarchism, colonialism was never seen in a positive light. There's not a single argument that you'll find in anarchist theory for colonialism in any form. In Marxism you'll find plenty, particularly, as I said, in the early years. Not only that, but Jean Grave and you could say even Louise Michel were active denouncers of colonialism. Louise Michel took a very progressive role when she was exiled to Caledonia for the right of the native community there. Even if you look at the writings of the Chicago anarchists in Chicago, obviously, the Chicago marchers, they took very progressive lines in relation to Native Americans at the time that it wasn't an issue for the Social Democratic Party there. And it's interesting that in other parts, in Latin America in particular, anarchism from a very early time took a strong appreciation of local indigenous cultures. I think that unfortunately those things were there, but they were never developed in theoretical terms. And I think that anarchist theory has a tendency to be very inconsistent sometimes and poor at others. I think that there's some brilliant theoreticians like Bakunin and Kropotkin, but well, I think that one of the historical weaknesses of anarchism is that it never developed really what Gramsci would have called organic intellectuals, people that were thinking for the movement and not above the movement, for the movement and living in it and militating in it. You know, we never had that. That meant that it really lagged behind in terms of Marxism. And then by the 40s and the 50s, Marxism was able to capitalize most of the national liberation struggles in Africa and Asia and so on and so forth, and Latin America even. And I think that anarchism could have played a bigger role if it had gone, if it had kept the pace in theoretical terms with the changes of the world in the 20th century. And I think that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And I think that today, actually, when we are, I mean, in the time of a globalized world, of globalization as they call it, we have a chance, because we have a more international movement, and we have a chance to question a lot of the Eurocentrism of the anarchist movement, and we are actually questioning a lot from Latin America, particularly the relationship with or how anarchism was understood in terms of the main reference being Spain. We always criticize, a lot of comrades know everything that happened in the Spanish Revolution, but they wouldn't know what happened in their own countries. In Chile, for instance, a lot of comrades didn't know anything about grassroots struggles at the time of Allende, or how the resistance against Pinochet happened. Comrades just didn't know about it, but they would know everything about the Spanish Revolution. And we say, hey, hold on, that's a problem of colonialism, because we think that the experience of some other people is more important or more relevant than the direct experience of your own, and that's wrong.